All right. Well, good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of CEDA Sparks. I'm your moderator for today. My name is Lauren LaGreca, and I'm the marketing manager here at CEDA. CEDA is your one-stop economic development resource here in the county, providing businesses with all the information and incentives they need to start up or grow. We're here to meet you where you are on your business journey. Our episode today is focused on New York State Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise Certification. What are the benefits of pursuing the certification called MWBE? How does the application process work? And how can you avoid the common mistakes? For all of this and a whole lot more, we're thrilled to welcome Lauren LaGreca, Associate Business Development Analyst with Empire State Development's Division of Minority and Women's Business Development, who will walk us through the steps of certifying your business. Today's presentation will be recorded and made available for reference on CEDA's website, which will link directly to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions during today's presentation, feel free to type them in the chat box below, and we'll go ahead and answer them after today's presentation. And after we stop the recording, please do stay on with us to ask any additional questions you might not want recorded, and to hear some additional CEDA updates from my colleague, Maureen Reister. With so much content to cover today, I will now turn this quickly over to Maureen, CEDA's Economic Development Specialist, who will introduce herself and today's guest.
Thank you, Lauren, for starting us off. It's good to see so many people joining us live for the CEDA Sparks episode. I'm Maureen Reister, the Economic Development Specialist for CEDA. My work focuses on the larger projects of business retention, expansion, and attraction. And together with Paul Vigiano, our Small Business Development Specialist, we help businesses start up and grow in Cuyahoga County for free. With the help and support of everyone else on our CEDA team, we do things like help entrepreneurs get information to develop their business plans. We connect business owners to the resources they need to grow. And we also help our local employers navigate the many programs available to help them expand and hire more employees. As a nonprofit, all of the work we do supports our mission of creating a sustainable quality of life through economic development. For today's episode, we've invited Lauren LaGreca to share information about New York State's MWBE certification process. Did you know that across the 10 economic development regions in New York State, there are currently 9,893 certified MWBE firms in total? In our Central New York region, we have just 372 certified firms, and I'm certain we should have a lot more. Hopefully today's episode will inspire and help more businesses get certified. Having the certification is important because New York State has a goal of utilizing 30% of MWBEs for state contracting. That means 30% of state funds need to be spent with MWBEs. Obtaining your certification is more than just a checkbox. It opens opportunities through these state contracts. It advertises your business, elevates your brand, and helps you access new markets. Something that's also very important is that your certification contributes to the broader goal of encouraging diversity and inclusivity in the business world. With so much to cover today, I won't delay any longer. We're thrilled to introduce Lauren LaGreca, Associate Business Development Analyst with the Division of Minority and Women's Business Development. Lauren is an experienced business strategy leader and marketing development professional with demonstrated success in advising business clients on developing and expanding their business. He has a solid track record in working with business clients and diagnosing new business markets and customer bases for companies. His proven strengths in business analysis, business development, and developing innovative marketing solutions have assisted multiple companies in achieving their revenue objectives. Lauren earned an MBA from Northeastern University, located in Boston, Massachusetts, with concentrations in innovation, entrepreneurship, and marketing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lauren. This virtual floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Maureen, for that warm welcome, and also Lauren. It's great to collaborate with your organization today to share this this information with businesses in your region. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into everything because there's quite a bit of information that I'm going to cover today. Okay, so the title of the webinar today is Empowering Your Business Through New York State MWBE Certification, a how-to guide on the actual certification application process. And for today's agenda, here are some things that I'm going to cover. I'm going to talk about, the benefits of of the certification, review the application review process, talk about the different types of MWBE applications, and the remaining items that you see here on this agenda list. So the New York State Division of Minority Women Business Development was actually established in July of 1988. So this is actually our 35th anniversary of the program. So this is like a really big milestone, which we're very excited about. And we will be commemorating this 35th year at our 2023 MWBE Forum, which is one of the largest MWBE events that we have once a year. This year it will be held at the Albany Capitol Center in Albany, New York on November 14th. All are welcome to attend. And if anybody has any questions about that, you can definitely put that into the chat. But one of the missions of the division was really to promote equality of economic opportunity for MWBEs and eliminate their barriers in their participation in state contracts. So the objective is to ensure that a fair amount of contracts are awarded to MWBEs. As Maureen had mentioned, New York State has a 30% MWBE utilization rate. So with all New York State government contracting opportunities, there's a 30% MWBE goal for MWBEs to participate in any contract. But it's also about, reviewing businesses seeking the certification and maintaining a directory. And I'll talk about that in the next coming slide. But then also to promote business development among MWBEs through education and outreach to New York State agencies as well as MWBEs. So why do we certify? So we certify to maintain the program integrity, because the program was designed for specific groups that fall underneath the category of minorities, such as individuals that fall under Black African groups, Hispanic groups, Asian Pacific, Asian Indian, subcontinent, Native American, Alaskan Native, but as well as women-owned businesses. So the program was designed for these specific groups to ensure equity of opportunity on New York State government contracting opportunities, but then also recognition stamps. So the division is going through a process to evaluate individuals that fall under these minority groups that I just mentioned, as well as women-owned businesses, to ensure that they meet all of the qualifications of the program, but also at the same time to ensure that individuals that have applied to the program actually are qualified, to be a part of the program, and we're not admitting individuals that the program was not necessarily designed for. And that's where we're, doing a thorough analysis of all the applications that are coming in to help prevent fraud and abuse of the program, but at the same time to promote promotion of statewide New York State agencies and authorities participation. So the division is tracking each New York State agency and authority to see if they're meeting, their MWBE utilization goals, and that's actually through our agency services unit within the New York State Division of Minority Women Business Development, and also our compliance unit. So they're working with the agencies and authorities, where the agencies and authorities are submitting reports to us periodically throughout the year and other different things to ensure that MWBEs are getting their fair share of contracting opportunities. But here are some benefits of getting certified as a New York State MWBE firm. So your firm will be featured in the directory. There's over 9,800 plus firms that are certified. So look at this as a free platform where that once you get certified, New York State Agency MWBE procurement officers, as well as prime contractors, when they're looking for New York State certified MWBE firms, they can go to the directory and find firms like yourself that meet their qualifications and solicit you to submit your bid or your proposal for that contracting opportunity, or share your company's information. You'll also gain access to specific lending and bonding programs developed by Empire State Development, because the New York State Division of Minority Women Business Development is only a unit within Empire State Development, which is the governmental arm of business development in New York State. You also get access to procurement and contract opportunities that I'm going to speak about in the upcoming slides. Statewide network of support. So it's not just about, okay, you applying for the certification through the Division of Minority Women Business Development, and you're kind of just left on your own to, figure out this contracting world, right? Or how to go about contracting. We have a number of different resources that we can share with you, which would help you to secure contracting opportunities with the various firms that you're interested in. But then at the same time, here at the division, we're assessing the various state agencies and authorities' participation, okay? We're informing the state about MWBE policy and decision-making. As a firm, you're contributing to New York State economic growth. And we're also reporting on, MWBE, best practices based on things that we are seeing with MWBEs that are certified. So now I'm going to get into the actual certification application review process. So there are 4 phases to the process when you submit your application. So in phase 1, there's a document review. Okay, there's an analytical review in phase 2, compliance review in phase 3, and then a decision review on whether or not you're going to be awarded this certification or not in phase 4. And I'm going to go into more detail with these 4 phases in an upcoming slide. But before I get into that, one of the things that we suggest for new firms that want to apply for the program is to go and do our self-assessment, which we have on our website, and I'm going to discuss that in the next slide. So on our website, and the links in this presentation, by the way, they are clickable. Okay, we have a self-assessment tool. So with this self-assessment tool, it's about 12 questions, and we encourage firms to go here and do the self-assessment, and it will let them get a better understanding of the criteria for the certification, let them know if they meet the basic preliminary qualifications for the program, but it's not legal advice. It doesn't guarantee that, you will be certified. If it does show that you do meet the basic criteria. And even if it doesn't, that doesn't necessarily mean that you were necessarily certified, but at least it gives you a basic understanding. And let's say, for an example, it was to show that someone necessarily, based on the answers that they had submitted, that they did not necessarily meet the basic criteria, for the certification application. Well, at that point, if they reach out to the division, we would actually refer them to, one of our partners, which I'll discuss a little later on in the webinar today, where that they could kind of do a more deeper dive and assessment of their business to let them know, whether at this time, they should move forward with the application or not. Okay, so now I'm going to get back into the actual certification process. So with the application intake, the certification unit is going to be examining all documents for completeness and authenticity and validity. But then also they're going to do an analysis of the documents that you have submitted for, the 3 different types of certification, whether that's the MBE, which stands for Minority Business Enterprise, or the WBE, Woman Business Enterprise, or the Minority Woman Business Enterprise certification. So when you submit your application, you're going to be submitting for either one of these three applications based on, you know, the profile that you meet. But then also with the compliance review, there is going to be a deeper analysis of the documents that you've submitted, and also assigning of codes. So based on the work that you are involved in your business, right? Let's say if it's a service-oriented company, or if you're a company that sells physical, tangible products, there are codes that are assigned or that you're requesting for the work that you're involved in. And through an analysis of your application, we're going to determine whether or not we should assign those codes that you are seeking for your application, okay? And if everything goes well with your certification application, prime contractors, New York State MWBE procurement offices, when they start researching firms in your particular industry, they will be able to see the codes that you are assigned and whether or not you're eligible to apply for the contracting opportunity that they may be soliciting your company for. And then finally, the certification team is going to, you know, make a decision on your application based on Article 15A, which basically established the division in July of 1988. Okay, so we're going to talk about the different types of MWBE applications in more detail now. So for new applications, there's actually 4 applications. The MBE application, the WBE application, the MWBE application, or the one-stop addendum option application. So with the one-stop addendum application, this is an application which allows you to apply for MWBE certification with some of our partners. And who are they? They are the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the New York City Department of Small Business Services. They are the Joint Certification Committee of Erie County and the City of Buffalo. So if you wanted MWBE certification with one of those 3 partners, or 2 of them, or all 3 of them, you would fill out the one-stop addendum option application. And that would allow us to not only review your application for New York State MBE, WBE, or MWBE certification, but we would also share that information with those partners that I mentioned, because you are interested in certification with them. So when you're filling out your application, be careful and mindful that you're filling out the application that you are most interested in obtaining. But we also have a fast track application, and it even though it's labeled fast track, just to let you know, it doesn't deal with the speed of reviewing your application. It basically means that you are currently certified with either of these 2 federal government certification programs. You currently are a SBA on the SBA 8A Business Development Program, and you apply for that program, and you admitted into the program, or the DBE, which stands for Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Unified Certification. You currently hold these certifications, and by filling out, you know, one of these fast track applications, you're giving these entities the authority to share the information that you submitted to them, to now share it with New York State. So now we could use some of this information to review you for New York State MBE, WBE, or MWBE certification. So those are the only times that you would use those fast track applications, if you currently have one of these 2 certifications and you want the federal government entities to share your information with New York State, so we can review your application for New York State MBE, WBE certification. Okay, And this slide here just kind of is just more of a pictorial, picture of what I just was speaking about prior with the one-stop addendum. So if you're interested in getting certified, once again, with the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, the County of Erie and City of Buffalo Joint Certification Committee, the New York City Department of Small Business Services, you want the MWBE certification with these partners of ours, you would submit the addendum one-stop certification application. And we would share your information with them at the same time we review your MWBE application. Okay, and this is just a little bit more of a detailed slide of the fast track, application. If you're currently certified in the SBA, Small Business Administration 8A Business Development Program, or the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Unified Certification, it just lets you know who can use this application, as I just mentioned, and some of our partners as well. And with the fast track application, right, with the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise federal program and the federal 8A program, this slide here just listing some of the documents that we would be retrieving from them in order to review your New York State MWBE application. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the ABCs of the New York State MWBE certification application. So the ABCs consist of the applicant, the business, and who has controlling interests of the business. And I'm going to go into more detail with the different bullet points you see here on this screen and then in the upcoming slides. So with the applicant, so in order to apply for the New York State MBE, or MWBE certification, you as the person that's applying, right, must have 51% ownership in your company. Okay, so as an example, if there's three owners of a business, but you yourself own 51%, the application for New York State MBE, WB, or MWBE certification would be reviewed under your name, because you are the individual that controls 51%, not the other two partners that you have, just as an example. So they're going to review your ownership in the company. They're going to review your net worth, which you need to have a net worth of $15 million or less, and they do allow you to deduct, certain things that you have ownership in, such as, your personal residency if you own a home, and some other items as well. You yourself applying must be a U.S. citizen or must have permanent green card residency status. You must belong to, one of the minority groups that I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, and or be a woman. And if you look here on this checklist here, it's just where it says applicant document checklist. This is just a list of items that you have to submit to support your applicant phase of the application. But then under B, your business must have the legal authority to do business in New York State. You must not be a publicly traded company. You must be in business for at least 1 year or longer. You must have 300 employees within your company or less. And you can see here from the document checklist a list of things that you would have to submit to the division to verify your business, such as your business tax return, your personal tax return, your bylaws of your company, minutes, etc. So it's a number of different set of documentation that you'd have to submit to division for you applying for the certification. And then under C, the control, you must be able to show and demonstrate that you have ultimate control within within your business. So not only do you have, let's say, the 51% ownership within your company, but let's say 51% of the capital, as an example, that was utilized to start the company should have came from you, or some other items, whether it's purchasing of machinery, equipment, a building, etc. That must come from you as the person who is actually applying for the certification within your company. Submit the resume, of all the owners, directors, officers, copy of any leases, permits, certification, leases, etc. So once again, it's a number of different documentation that you have to submit for applying for the certification. And as I mentioned before, with the small business requirement, you must have 300 employees or less. But then at the same time, in addition to you being in business for 1 year or longer, you need to have been conducting business activity in the state of New York. So it's not just I registered my business, as let's say an LLC or a corporation, but I didn't do any business for the year and now I want to apply for the certification. No, you need to show that you've done business with various parties through submitting contracts, invoices, proof of payment, etc. In addition to submitting your tax returns that I just mentioned that show that you've actually contributed to the New York State economy. And the same with the capitalization here. The owners relied upon for the certification must demonstrate that their capital contribution in the form of either money, property, equipment, expertise is proportionate to the 51% ownership that they have in the business. So the division will look at this very, very thoroughly. And also the risk. So as a 51% owner, you must share in the majority of the risk and the profits in the company. So the division will look closely at this as well through evaluating your application. And then also we're going to look at the operation. So you as a person that's applying, do you have competency in your industry? Do you have ultimate operational decision-making control and time devoted, to the business? And this is just a more detailed breakdown of things that would demonstrate that you have, you have that control, right? Such as, the operating agreements, bylaws, third-party agreements, etc. So we're going to really look, do you have ultimate control within your company? So now we're going to talk about submitting your application, avoiding common mistakes. So you want to ensure that you submit a complete application to the division with supporting documents. And we typically will follow up with a Q&A if we need further clarification based on what you've submitted. But one of the things you want to ensure before submitting your application so you don't get it returned is make sure you've submitted all documents that are required. Make sure that you, as the person applying, do have the 51% ownership in your company as a minority-owned business or a woman-owned business. You meet the small business requirement and the personal net worth requirement as well, because otherwise your application will be returned to you. That would slow up the process on you getting an answer on the decision of your application. And here's just a list of common mistakes of certain things that may be missing from someone's, application. So you just want to ensure that you've submitted everything, documents we're asking for that need to be notarized, make sure they are. Make sure you submit fully executed contracts to us, so invoices, proof of payments, etc. So we're going to dive in a little bit more deeper now into the application submission process. So this is a slide with the New York State contract system. So this is actually where you are applying for the certification. And you can see the URL at the bottom of the slide, ny.newnycontracts.com. So this is where you actually are applying for the certification. Okay, and you can see where the arrow is pointing. So here, this is where not only you are selecting to be certified with New York State, applying for the certification. But if you're already certified and you want to keep the certification, well, you are required to recertify every 5 years. So this is where you would go if you want to do that. But at the same time, if you wanted to update your profile, maybe your business address has changed or something else you want to edit, this is where you would edit or update your profile as well. Okay, so option 1 is for individuals that are applying for the certification for the first time, that you see highlighted in red. And then option 2 is for people that either want to recertify or update their profile. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have a complete vendor profile, because as I mentioned before, New York State Authority, procurement officers, prime contractors, they will go to the directory, and this is where they're looking for New York State certified MBE, WBE, or MWBE firms. And this helps to lead to potential business opportunities. So you want to make sure your information is current, but your vendor profile is not the same as your certification application, just to let you know. Okay, so step 1, your firm has never been certified by New York State, right? Okay, so then step 2, submit a new MWBE application you're applying for the very, very first time. Okay, so company profile, click process and begin. Okay, so here are some documents that you'd be submitting with your application within the New York State contract system. Proof of citizenship, gender, capital contribution, business activity, business documents, etc. And you can see the different items that fall under these headings of different things that you would have to submit for your application. Commodity codes. So these are the different things that you are requesting if your application successfully is approved for certification, right? So they actually are related to the work that you are involved in. So for more service-oriented businesses, you would be awarded a NEX code, which stands for North American Industry Classification System. Okay, and for more products, if you're more into selling products for your business, and or you could be assigned a NIGP code, National Institute of Government Purchasing code, and they correspond to specific goods and or services. So you could be requesting, let's say maybe one NEX code, one NIGP code, or multiple NEX codes or multiple NIGP codes for your application. But once again, you must be able to prove that you've actually done work in your industry with invoices and contracts of support for the division to be able to award you the NEX codes and or NIGP codes that your business is seeking. Yeah, so this slide here is just talking about assigning the New York State MWBE commodity codes. Okay, so like as I mentioned, it could be a combination, depending on, your industry and what you are, you're seeking for your certification application. Okay, so submitting a new New York State MWBE application. So you can see highlighted in red, the button where you would submit your new application. You could even print it out. You could edit, okay? But note, once your application is submitted, no changes can be made. So please ensure that all the information is accurate and correct before you submit your application to the division. Okay, so you have to complete and sign as well. in the fill-in here. So this slide is just telling you that pending your submission. Also, if for some reason you decide that you need more time, a firm can click the extend link and get more time, to complete their application. Extending is definitely not indefinite. Can be done a maximum of 12 times. But firms can click on an extend button if more than 90 days are needed to complete the application process. If there's any questions about this, you can kindly reach out to our customer care unit at the email address mwbecertification@esd.ny.gov, or you can give them a call at the number you see here on the slide. So here are some free technical assistance providers that could actually help you with evaluating your business to see, at this present moment in time, if applying for the certification is a best fit or makes sense for your business. You have the Apex accelerators. They used to be called the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. So there's a number of them, throughout the United States and in various states. In New York, there are currently seven of them. And if you go to this website, apex-us.org, they can help to evaluate your application. Excuse me, they can help you to evaluate your company, whether a certification is a good fit for your company. And the same thing with the small business development centers. Okay, there are 26 in New York State, but they're all over the U.S. They can help you with evaluating your business for applying for the certification, but they can help you with other things as well. Whether it's, looking for funding for your company, developing a business plan, finding business professionals to help you with your business. So we encourage firms that are interested in applying for the New York State MWBE certification to seek out, an Apex accelerator in their region, a small business development center in their region, schedule an appointment with a business counselor, and have them help you with evaluating your company. But at the same time, they could help you with, reviewing your business and helping you to make sure that you've gathered all the documents that are needed to apply for the certification. And then, review everything prior to you submit, which would ensure that the division is receiving, applications from firms that are submitting complete applications, so we could kind of make a decision on your application in a in a manner that doesn't have too much back and forth. Just to let you know, for new applications that are complete, that are submitted to the division, the turnaround time in terms of evaluating applications to make a decision is anywhere between 90 to 120 business days. So that is the turnaround time for firms that are submitting, applications, especially if it's a complete application. Now there's going to be, a lot of back and forth or delays in us getting additional documentation that we may need, then it may be extended longer than that. But if we can get a complete application from a new firm that is applying, the time range is anywhere between 90 to 120 business days. Okay, and here within Empire State Development, there are many different units that the Division of Minority Women Business Development collaborates with. And on this slide here, it's talking about our small business unit. So our small business unit, they have a number of different programs that supports all different types of small businesses in New York State. It doesn't have to be a firm that's necessarily applying for a MWBE certification or has interest in that. Any firm that just needs any assistance with their business, whether it's workforce development, issue, tax credits that they may be seeking, business development resources, etc. The small business division has a number of different programs to assist small businesses. But at the same time, they manage a number of state funding programs for small businesses. And what you see here on this slide here is a new program that they have that's titled the New York State Small Business Credit Initiative. The acronym is SSBCI. New York State was awarded more than $500 million in funding from the federal government to support small business across New York State. So there's a number of different funding programs that fall under this SSBCI. For example, there are contractor financing programs. So let's say you're currently a New York State MWBE certified firm, or maybe you're not even a certified firm, but you just need some assistance with contractor financing. Because you've won, a contract, let's say from a state agency, right? And maybe you need to hire additional staff, supplies, etc., to execute on this new contract that you've won. Well, there are a number of different lenders that we have partnered with that will assess your business. And if contractor financing is what you're seeking, they could evaluate your business for a contractor financing program that they have, or maybe a line of credit, or maybe you're a business that you need bonding to execute on a contract that you were just awarded from a state agency, right? There's a bonding program under this SSBCI program. There's even venture capital, right? You're a business and you're looking for venture capital, right? There's a venture capital fund. So there's a number of different funds under this SSBCI. Because access to capital is definitely something that a lot of small businesses struggle with. So the state has a number of different programs to assist with helping firms gain access to capital as well. So definitely investigate this if you're a firm that are seeking capital, or if you're an organization that works with small businesses. I would definitely encourage you to review this this page here on the Empire State Development website. And as I was introduced, I am Luan Simonis, one of the business development analysts here at the New York State Division of Minority Women Business Development. I currently oversee the Western New York, Finger Lakes, Southern Tier, Mid-Hudson region for New York State MWBE Business Development. My colleague Laura Walton, she oversees the Capital Region, North Country, Central New York, Mohawk Valley region. She's new to the team, so I was actually overseeing Central New York, which is why I'm doing this webinar here today, but she just recently joined the team, so she would be your point in contact for New York State MWBE Business Development. But then also my colleague Donnie Sarow, he oversees New York City and Long Island for MWBE Business Development. So, some of the things that business development does, just for your information, other than doing, webinars on the New York State certification program, is that we host webinars as well, where we'll bring on New York State agency MWBE procurement officers, right, from specific agencies, and let them talk about their agency, the different things that they buy, and also current contracting opportunities that they have, and then also how MWBEs, could go about applying for these opportunities. At the same time, we bring prime contractors on our platform, and they'll talk about projects that they're working on and MWBEs that they're looking for as well. We have our MWBE speaker series that we do periodically, where we'll bring on a certified New York State MWBE firm, where they'll talk about maybe the process of not only them going through the certification process, but then also, challenges, obstacles that they may be facing in their business and how they overcame them. So this is more of an educational and learning, an educational type, webinar. We do the forum, as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, which is one of the largest MWBE events. Once again, the next one that we have coming up is November 14th. We're going to be celebrating our 35th anniversary of the program. Okay. We do regional expos, where we're highlighting regional projects that are happening in the specific regions in New York State. And just to let you know as well, Empire State Development, we fund projects throughout the 10 regions of New York State as well. So we are a New York State agency. We do fund regional projects, whether that's, you know, the new Buffalo Bills Stadium that they're building in Western New York. We're part of that project. JFK projects at the airport, a number of different projects, even Penn Station here in New York City. So we're involved in a number of different projects. We're funding these projects as well, and the projects that we're funding, they have MW utilization goals as well. So when the recipient who wins that project, they're looking for New York State certified MWBEs, MBEs, and WBEs, as well. It could even be a project as simple as maybe funding the, let's say, renovation of a historic building, right? Those are some type of projects that we fund as well. But in terms of certification, one of the things I will say is that there are a lot of opportunities for firms that are seeking the MWBE, WBE certification. I know there's a lot of opportunities in construction and construction-related, industries, but there are a lot of opportunities as well in service-orientated industries as well. So if your firm maybe is, has a background in maybe information technology, or maybe in, let's say, have the ability to, work on broadband projects, projects where we're trying to ensure that New Yorkers in all areas have good, let's say, good internet access, especially in very remote areas. There's a number of different projects. So I encourage you to, take a look at the different state agencies that are out here. There's about 97 of them. Go to their website, read about their mission, see what they buy, the services they buy, the products that they buy, and see if there's current contracting opportunities based on the industry that you're in. And if you see that is the case, then you can say to yourself, okay, it's worthwhile for me to go and pursue this New York State MBE, WBE, or MWBE certification, because you want to know that there's opportunities out there. Unless you have some type of revolutionary product or service that the state is not currently buying, where that you figure that if the state knew about this, they would be interested in buying. Unless you're in that kind of category, then you'd have to basically make your pitch for what is it that you're selling. But other than that, you want to know ahead of time, is the state currently buying what I sell, whether it's my product, my service, and then how much are they spending, because you can see that per agency, and then you'll know, okay, it makes sense for me to go ahead and pursue this this certification, because this should be adding on to your business. You're already doing business in the private sector. This should be an additional revenue stream for your company, which can probably take your company to to the next level. For firms that are outside of New York, that want information about the certification process, they can email our MWBE business desk email that you see as well. And also to let you know, in terms of you having the certification, it could be any firm in the United States of America. As I mentioned before at the beginning of the webinar, as long as you have the legal authority to do business in New York State, you can apply for the New York State MWBE certification. So it doesn't matter if your company's in California, you can still apply for the New York State MWBE certification as long as you have the legal authority to do business in New York State. So thank you so much for everyone's time today. I hope you got a lot of value out of this this webinar. If you have any questions about New York State MWBE business development, you can see our email address here on this slide. Any questions about the certification process or a pending application, want to know what the status is, you can go to our customer care unit's email address, MWBE certification, at esd.ny.gov, or you can give them a call. They are in the office Monday to Friday from 9 to 5. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. So in real time, you can find out, what's going on with the division. We're sharing contracting opportunities that we are aware of. And, now we're going to open it up to any questions that anyone may have. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Luan. So we did have one question come through the chat, and this one says, for fast track applications, how is information shared between SBA 8A, DBE, and New York State MWBE? And how does ESD, these are a lot of acronyms, Empire State Development, share firm information with partnering agencies?
Well,
I can repeat that if you'd like.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I work in business development, so I'm assuming everything is shared through a secure portal, with the various partners that we have. I don't know the specifics behind it, but I'm just pretty sure that it's probably shared with some type of secured portal that we have with the federal 8A program and also the DBE program. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Thank you very much. We have a thank you. And I was thinking too, could you explain a little bit about the timeline to get certified? How is the timeline these days?
Yeah, so it's 90 to 120 business days, for new applications. So, we ask individuals to ensure that they're submitting a complete application, to us, so that won't delay that process.
Okay. The previous question, a follow-up to that is there a name to the secure portal, and is it accessible?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat the email address for the customer care unit, and they should definitely be able to answer that question.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that you provided screenshots of the certification application. I think that's helpful to see exactly what people will be looking at. And when you go to the New York Contract Reporter, it's very easy. Right from the front page, you can start perusing some of the different types of categories that these contracts are put out by New York State. So just to give some people some ideas of these, they range from food services to landscaping and architectural or engineering, construction for highways and roadways, maintenance and repair, some educational and recreational, facilities maintenance. When you think about all of the state-run entities, SUNY schools or parks, there really are a lot of opportunities for a wide breadth of businesses. So did you want to speak at all on that, Luan? There are some clients that we work with that for their type of business, maybe it doesn't perhaps make sense to get an official certification, but can you talk a little bit about self-certifying for those types of lifestyle businesses?
For the New York State MWBE application, this is definitely not a self-certifying program, because we have to ensure that who the program was designed for is the people that we're actually admitting into the program. I know I've heard in the past, and I don't know if this is still the case, on the federal level, they had a woman-owned self-certified certification, but I'm not sure if it's still going on, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this program is a program where it's designed for who it's designed for, the groups that fall underneath minority-owned groups. Once again, Black, Hispanic, Asian Pacific, Asian Indian subcontinent, Native American, Alaskan, Native, and woman-owned, you know, businesses. Yeah.
At
We've also-
CEDA, we're always asked by a wide variety of clients. So I'm thinking even the person who is making candles and has a very small business, but they're selling them at farmers markets and different things. There's probably not a state contract to purchase candles. Perhaps there could be, but if that is a woman-owned business, they could say, I am a women-owned business, and not go through the whole process that you just described in this presentation.
Right. And, depending on their business and depending on their product line, a lot of, let's say agencies, they purchase, I guess what some people may refer to as giveaway items, right? Swag items, right? When they go to their, shows, right? Or events, right? So, if the person's product line maybe is more extensive than candles or so, maybe they design bags, pens, things of that nature. The agencies and authorities, they buy these things, right? They need these things, this is how they market and promote what they do. So that could be something that they may consider, getting involved in, and then maybe it may make sense, to go and pursue this certification. So, you could look at your business, you could evaluate your business, where it's at right now, look at opportunities, and maybe, pivot your business to provide that service that the government is buying, or change it over or add it over. So these are different things. Don't just look at it from the standpoint, well, oh, they don't buy that, so it's not worth my time. It may not be worth your time as the way your business is currently structured or set up, but maybe you could position it where it could be. So, think about, how you could potentially reinvent, your business if you want to go after the certification.
Just to follow up on one of those group questions, one of our participants mentioned about the entrepreneurial assistance centers. They can obviously help with MWBE guidance, as well as, we talked about the SBDCs as well. And then also mentioned, and just for purposes of the recording, some people can't see the chat here, is Open Book New York was mentioned as a good resource to see who the state has previously awarded contracts to. Just wanted to mention.
Yes. And the dollar amount spent for that specific contracting opportunity, as well. I'm going to, okay, I just put in the chat the phone number for our customer care unit and email, okay, for the person that was asking about the name to the secure portal in terms of how information is shared through the fast track. I'm going to put into the chat now this MWBE connections guide that we come out with once a year. This is a booklet that is basically listing top contracting projects here in New York State, right? Also, at the same time, it has a table of contents in the beginning where it lists basically all of the New York State agencies and authorities, so you can read up like a little bio on them. Okay, there's website links that'll click back to their website, but at the same time, there are names and contact information from the various MWBE directors and procurement officers, right? So, let's say, for example, you are currently certified MWBE firm. Rather than just waiting for New York State agencies and authorities to find you, or you can do your own outreach and reach out to them and try to set up, a personal, Zoom meeting, phone call, or whatever you may have to kind of introduce yourself and let them know that you're interested in doing business with them and what you can do, for them, so you can be a little bit more proactive, in your contracting search, because many of the agencies, they have discretionary funds, right, which is basically money that they can just award to any any firm for business that they're seeking, right? So if you have a relationship with the various procurement officers, you will be probably maybe top of mind that they would maybe think about or consider when these discretionary purchases that may come up, where that they need to buy something in a timely manner, or need to get something in a timely manner, and there's really not time to put out a formalized contracting opportunity in a New York State contract reporter where various firms are bidding on, but unless you have these relationships or you're known by these procurement officers, maybe you may not be considered. So it's just a way to be a little bit more, proactive and in your outreach for contracting, opportunities. Yeah.
That's great. And the name of that was MWBE Connections, a guide to
Connections
NYS
guide.
Agencies and authorities, if anyone is just going to do a search for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
reading
definitely.
the title
Yeah.
here. That does look like a very chock full, good resource.
And it looks like we may have one other note here in the chat. It says 90 to 120 business days equals 54 to 72 weeks. So just to note that, so there's not confusion. Not sure if you want to clarify on that note there, Luan. I think maybe it's with regard to the application process. The 90.
Yeah, that's the application. I mean, that's what we were told by the certification unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to mention that came through the chat as well.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? Anyone joining us today? Or Luan, is there anything else that you can think of that might be helpful? Any question that wasn't asked? I mean, your presentation was very thorough, and I'm sure it'll be a great resource that lives on after today.
Thank you so much. Well, one of the things I would emphasize is, like, as I mentioned, really evaluate your business, because it is a process that you have to go through in order to see whether or not you're considered for, the certification or not. And, you just want to know that there's a lot of opportunity out there, for you before getting, because, you could apply for the certification, but, you want to know, does the government or what government agencies are buying my product, buying my service, and then you can know it's worthwhile, because we're going to be asking you for so many different things to review, and you want to know that if everything goes well, that there's a lot of opportunity out here for you, rather than you just having the certification and you're not really utilizing. That's not really the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to utilize it to grow your business. So I would definitely do a self evaluation of my company to see where are the opportunities, and in the connections guide, you can go there and look up the different agencies that you think, oh, I think this agency may buy what I want. Let me go to their website. Let's see what they buy right now. How much are they spending, on in that particular, for that particular service, for that particular pipe. You see they're spending hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and okay, I can, yeah, so yeah, definitely. I see someone put it in the USA spending contract reporter. Yeah, so that's something that I would definitely do. And then once you come to that conclusion, then you can reach out to one of our partners, the Apex Accelerators, Small Business Development Centers, or even the Entrepreneur Assistance Centers, which we help fund as well, and meet with one of the counselors, and they could help you with, filling out your application. But the government spends probably the biggest purchase of anything, all goods and services out here. So, we definitely, it could really take your business to a whole new level. I mean, you have companies out here that basically they barely even work with the private sector anymore, right? Because their whole business is going from one government project to the next, to the next. I mean, because there's just so much work out here for them in what they do. So you could be one, one of those companies, depending if the government or a government agency is buying, what is it that you sell, yeah. And then once you get certified, you can reach out to with New York State as an example, you can reach out to one of the business development analysts, such as myself, that oversees the region that you are seeking opportunities from, and we could now work with you, one-on-one to guide you, because you're like, okay, I'm certified now. What do I do next? Well, we can help you develop a strategy on how to connect to the agency and authority procurement offices, how to connect to the prime contractors, how to know what is happening in your in the regions that you want to pursue. So, the state has a lot of resources to help you. I'm going to put in the chat before we end today the page for the division regarding the certification program, and then I'm also going to put in the chat as well the link for the business development unit, which is the unit that I'm a part of, because there's a lot of information here that's free for the public to learn about the resources that the business development has for certified firms. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for that very thorough presentation, answering all of our questions, and providing all the contact information and resources. We'll make sure to make all of that available to people who are going to be viewing this in the future. So for those who are tuning in today, if there are any other topics you'd like us to consider for future episodes, or if you have any business needs, please contact a CEDA specialist. We're here for you. So at this time, we're going to wrap up the recorded portion of CEDA Sparks. And if any of you would like to stay on and ask any questions that will not be recorded, please feel free to do so now. Thanks again, Luan.
Thank you so much.